If you believe in the power of love, subscribe to Bear Tales for more heart-touching stories. Don't forget to comment your thoughts, because every love story deserves to be felt and shared.
I was reborn on the day my sister and I were choosing our husbands. That was when I realized I could hear other people's thoughts. I heard my sister's voice in my head. This time I have to grab the best husband before she does. Then she anxiously pulled away the gentle husband I had married in my past life, leaving me with the abusive man who had beaten her. I laughed. Did she really think the man I had married before was a good person? Once again I found myself on the day of the husband selection. Sitting across from us at the dinner table were two men of similar age. One was Logan Carter, the eldest son of the Carter family, cold and distant by nature. The other was Ethan Carter, the youngest son. Though technically illegitimate, he was mild-mannered and gentle. This time I have to grab the best husband first. My sister's voice echoed in my ears. I glanced at her, but she hadn't spoken. She was simply staring straight at Ethan. Just wait. I'm going to take you away this time. Her voice came again. That was when I realized not only had I been reborn, but I could hear people's thoughts. And judging from what my sister had just said, she had been reborn too. Otherwise, there was no way she would be thinking like this. Sure enough, the next second she walked over and sat beside Ethan, looking at him shyly. "Hi, my name is Sophia Evans. I like you," she said coyly. At that moment my father suddenly spoke. "Susan, since your sister has already chosen Ethan Carter, then you will marry Logan Carter." As soon as he said that, my sister's eyes filled with satisfaction. In her mind she sneered. "This time you can take the beatings for me." In my past life, Sophia had married Logan. Logan was a successful businessman, always busy with work, and was known for being emotionally distant. My sister had tried countless times to get close to him, but each time she was beaten and thrown out of his room. Eventually, because she never bore a child, Mrs. Carter declared her infertile and kicked her out of the family. Meanwhile, I had married Ethan. Even though he held little power in the Carter family, he still provided me with food and comfort. He took me shopping, out for meals, and pampered me endlessly. Everyone in the Carter household knew how much he doted on me. Later, when Logan suddenly died of poisoning, Ethan inherited the Carter family's business, and my status in the household soared overnight. My sister, consumed with jealousy, deliberately drove her car into me while I was out shopping, killing us both. "All right, Dad," I replied with a smile. "I actually like Logan too." Then I calmly walked over and sat beside Logan Carter. I had to admit, this man had an incredibly strong presence. The moment I sat down, I felt a chilling aura wrap around me, making me hesitant to speak. No wonder my sister had suffered so terribly in the past life. I tried to listen to his thoughts, but I heard nothing. However, when Ethan turned to look at Sophia with a smile, I suddenly heard his voice in my head. "What a beautiful little doll." A shiver ran down my spine. On instinct, I grabbed Logan's hand. Despite his cold personality, his hands were surprisingly warm. Feeling my touch, he turned to glance at me. I quickly let go, and only then did he remain silent. Even though Logan seemed intimidating, I still felt that staying with him was far better than being with Ethan, that venomous snake. This time I was determined to change my tragic fate. I would make my own money, become independent, and rely on no one. Our wedding was held together. In my past life we had also married on the same day. Back then, Logan hadn't even shown up to the ceremony, while Ethan had arrived early in the morning, making everyone say he was the more considerate husband. And just as expected, history repeated itself. Ethan, dressed in a white suit, hurried over and carried Sophia away. As they passed by me, she cast me a smug look. "Susan, where's Logan? Didn't he come to pick you up?" she sneered. I simply smiled. "No need for you to worry, Sophia. Just take care of yourself." Her face darkened at my words, clearly choked up. "Go ahead and laugh now. Let's see if you'll still be laughing when you're the one getting beaten." After saying that in his mind, Ethan Carter took Sophia downstairs with him. But it was still too early to say who would have the last laugh. Just like in my past life, Logan Carter did not attend the wedding, leaving both my sister and me to endure endless gossip and judgmental stares. Sophia was even more delighted, unable to contain her excitement as she clung to Ethan and blurted out, "I love you, Ethan." Then he kissed her. After the kiss, she turned to stare at me, her lips still wet with saliva. I knew she was waiting to see me humiliated. But I wasn't stupid. Unlike my past self who had stormed out in anger handing everyone in the Carter family the perfect scandal to gossip about, I wouldn't make the same mistake. I remembered how in my last life, everyone had criticized Sophia for being immature and unfit to be the Carter family's eldest daughter-in-law. As a result, after the wedding, Mrs. Carter never showed her any kindness, making her life in the Carter household miserable. With a poised smile, I picked up the microphone and addressed the guests below the stage. Logan had an important business deal to negotiate today, so I'll be making the rounds in his place for the wedding toast. I hope you all won't mind. The moment I said that, the murmuring among the guests ceased. Even Mrs. Carter, seated at the main table, gave me a look of newfound appreciation. The Carter family was a prestigious household, highly concerned with maintaining its reputation. In moments like these, a daughter-in-law needed to show grace and composure. Sophia also noticed Mrs. Carter's reaction, and her eyes flashed with irritation. Disgusting, she sneered in her thoughts. Just wait. When it's time for the tea ceremony, I'll make sure you embarrass yourself. Honestly, I found this ability to hear others' thoughts incredibly useful. It was like having a cheat code for life. Everything became so much easier. When the tea ceremony began, I calmly lifted my gown and walked toward Mrs. Carter. Sophia kept her eyes locked on me, mentally counting down. 3. At the very last second, I sidestepped just in time to avoid whatever she had planned. Instead, she lost her balance and fell hard to the floor, spilling tea all over herself. Oh no, are you all right? Ethan hurriedly reached out to help her up, but in his mind I heard him scoff. What an idiot. The entire room turned to look in our direction. Mrs. Carter's face darkened with displeasure. So reckless. Do you even look like a proper daughter-in-law? I'm sorry, Mother. It wasn't on purpose, Sophia stammered, trying to cover up her embarrassment. But the unwillingness in her eyes was obvious. If I were her, I would have just accepted the loss and focused on living quietly. But she wasn't willing to let me have peace. So I certainly wouldn't go easy on her. Formula was only worth a few hundred. Logan fixed his sharp gaze on me. I forced an awkward smile. I guessed he didn't question me further, but I took this opportunity to make a request. I want to run one of your branch companies. In my past life, Ethan had no status in the Carter family and couldn't give me anything. I had always wanted to start my own business, to be my own boss. That way I wouldn't have to rely on anyone. Once I made enough money, I could leave. Logan studied me for a moment before smirking. You're pretty ambitious. You're not planning to take the company, make a fortune, and then disappear, are you? His piercing gaze made me feel exposed, as if he could see right through me. Damn it. How was he better at reading people than I was? For the first time I felt inferior. I had a literal superpower, yet he still outmatched me. This must be what true talent looked like. Of course not, I said with a smile. I just want to find something to do. Logan took a sip of his coffee and nodded. Fine, but you need to learn from me first before I let you take charge. For the next few days, I followed Logan to the company and learned a lot. Not just about business but also about how to navigate relationships and social situations. Surprisingly, one day he took the initiative to invite me out for dinner. And not just anywhere. It was the most luxurious Western restaurant in town. I didn't expect to run into Sophia and Ethan there. Sophia had been cutting his steak for him, but the moment she saw Logan and me walk in, she immediately put down her knife and fork, looking startled. Susan, you're here too. She quickly realized her mistake and corrected herself. I mean, brother, sister-in-law, you're here for dinner as well? The next second I heard her inner thoughts. What the hell? Of all times, why did I have to run into her now? I can't lose face. Yes, I said with a smile. Logan and I came to have dinner together. As I spoke, I took the initiative to loop my arm through Logan's. He didn't resist. Ethan quickly stepped forward and greeted us. Brother, sister-in-law. Logan didn't acknowledge them. Instead, he pulled me toward a table and sat us down. I caught the furious look in Sophia's eyes as she watched us. She was probably wondering why Logan hadn't hit me yet. Why had he even taken me out to dinner? When I went to the restroom, Sophia was waiting for me outside. Her expression was murderous, just like the look she had when she drove into me in my past life. You must be getting beaten up behind closed doors, she sneered. Stop pretending. Just looking at you makes me sick. Hearing her words, I chuckled softly. Then my eyes landed on the needle marks on her arm. Oh my, Sophia, I said with mock concern. What happened to your arm? So many needle marks. Her eyes flashed with panic as she quickly covered her arm, glaring at me. None of your business. It's just something fun between Ethan and me. Then she smirked, leaning in. Not that you'd understand. Logan probably hasn't even touched you, has he? Unlike Ethan, he wants me all night long. I'm exhausted. She was clearly miserable but still trying to act superior. I was curious how long she could keep up this facade. That's wonderful, I said with a bright smile. I wish you both a lifetime of happiness. I turned to leave, but she suddenly grabbed a fistful of my hair and yanked hard. Are you mocking me? She snarled. I frowned. She was just as insane as she had been in my past life. I struggled to break free, but before I could, Logan appeared out of nowhere. Without hesitation, he kicked her away. Disrespecting your sister-in-law, he said coldly, towering over her. Do you know what the punishment for that is? I remembered. The punishment was being locked in the underground cell. I had been sent there once before because of Sophia. That place was filled with countless rats, cockroaches, and snakes. She knew exactly what fate awaited her. Her face turned deathly pale. Brother, I didn't mean to. Please don't do this. But Logan was never one to be soft-hearted. Once he made a decision, he never changed his mind. He ordered Ethan to take her away. I heard Ethan curse in his thoughts. Hope she dies in there. Less trouble for me. Logan took me back to our bedroom and checked my head. Are you okay? I'm fine, I said, brushing his hand away. She just pulled my hair a little. I straightened my clothes and fixed my hair before glancing at him. But why did you suddenly come to the restroom? His dark eyes met mine. You were gone for a while. I was about to ask why you got into an argument with her again. I hesitated. I couldn't exactly tell him that Sophia had been reborn and was deliberately targeting me, so I simply said, she told me that she and Ethan are intimate every night and that they're very happy, unlike you who won't even touch me. That's why we argued. Hearing my words, Logan's eyes darkened slightly. So, are you hinting at something? I immediately realized he had misunderstood me. Waving my hands in a panic, I quickly clarified, No, that's not what I meant. I was just explaining why we argued. Logan stared at me intensely. Susan, have you ever thought about doing that with me? Of course not. I blurted out without hesitation. I told you, I only want to rely on you for a stable life. That's all. That's all, he pressed. I nodded firmly. He said nothing else. Instead, he suddenly slammed the door behind him and left. I had no idea which part of my words had upset him, nor did I care. I only wanted to focus on my own plans. Logan didn't return that night. I lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to suppress the uneasy feeling creeping into my chest. This wasn't part of my plan. I needed Logan to be my shield, my source of power. If he started to distance himself, I would lose everything I had worked for in this new life. The next morning, I went downstairs expecting to see him at breakfast, but he was nowhere to be found. The servants avoided eye contact and the tension in the air was thick. Where is Logan? I asked a butler. He hesitated before replying, Master Logan left early this morning for a business trip. He didn't say when he'd return. A business trip? I clenched my fist. That didn't sound like him. He was meticulous. If he had a trip planned, I would have known about it. Just as I was about to leave the dining room, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number popped up. You can't run forever. A chill ran down my spine. My first instinct was that Sophia had sent it, but she was still locked away. And Ethan? He barely had the backbone to threaten me like this. Then ding. Another message followed. Logan won't protect you forever. When he's gone, you'll see your true place. My heart pounded. Someone was watching me. I immediately turned around, scanning the grand dining hall and the tall windows overlooking the estate gardens. Nothing seemed out of place. Yet I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I tightened my grip on my phone and took a deep breath. Whoever was behind this, they underestimated me. In my past life, I had been weak, naive. Not this time. Just then, another voice interrupted my thoughts. Madam, someone is here to see you. I turned to find a servant standing at the doorway, looking pale. Who? A woman. She says it's urgent. She claims she has information about Sophia. Sophia? My gut told me this was a trap. But if there was even the slightest chance that someone knew something I didn't, I had to find out. I nodded. Send her to the study. I'll be there in 5 minutes. As I made my way to the study, I steadied my breathing and prepared myself. This game had only just begun and I wasn't about to lose. Whoever thought they could control me would soon regret it. I entered the study, my eyes narrowing as I took in the woman standing before me. She was tall, dressed in a simple black dress, her auburn hair pulled into a tight bun. Her eyes were sharp, calculating. "You have information about Sophia?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. She smirked. "More than that. I have proof that she was never the real enemy." I frowned. "Explain." She took out a folder and slid it across the desk. I hesitated before opening it, my breath hitching as I scanned the contents. Pictures, letters, bank transactions. Evidence of something much bigger than I had anticipated. "Who are you?" I demanded. "Someone who knows the truth." She leaned forward. "You're being played. And if you don't act fast, you'll be the next to fall." I clenched my jaw. Logan's sudden absence, the cryptic messages, and now this woman appearing out of nowhere. It was all connected. For the first time, I realized that the game I had thought I was playing was much larger than I had imagined. And I might not be the one in control after all.